I just came back from viewing the lunar eclipse. I had to go quite a distance because of the weather, but it was a nice experience, and I learned a few things about my life while viewing the lunar eclipse. One thing that kind of caught me a little bit off guard is that I was so busy viewing it through my telescope that it wasn't until halfway through the eclipse that I even decided to look with my naked eyes. And it just reminds me of how a lot of especially younger people nowadays handle their lives. You know, they want to do everything with technology, and they forget about their real lives. I see so many people they do something online that literally should result in something offline. Let's say somebody's using a dating website, and they finally do meet that person offline, and they're like, okay, let's go home and email each other. I literally see that kind of pattern in my daily lives. I'm starting to become guilty of it. I really despise online shopping. It's sad that a lot of stores are closing down. Even when I go to a grocery store, like that Fred Meyer over there. One of the big problems is that nowadays you almost don't have to interact with the cashier. You can pick up this radar gun and just scan everything, and I think it even keeps your credit card. I've never used it because I actually want to interact with people, but I think it actually keeps your credit card information, and you literally just scan, and walk out the door. And that's a problem. That's a problem. I see so many people who don't know how to interact with others. And actually, I ran into one of these people yesterday while viewing the lunar eclipse. I had parked my car somewhere, and I made the mistake of parking in a marijuana store. I didn't even pay attention to it. I thought it was a bar. And this guy just knocks on my door really loudly and says, "You can't park here." And I don't mind moving my car, especially when it's a crowded town and I can just move 2 blocks down. I don't mind. But he literally jolted me from my. I was looking at the schedule, and he just jolted me from that, and literally startled me so much that I kind of got indigestion from it. I had just eaten dinner, and when he startled me like that, I kind of got indigestion from it. And it just gives me a bad impression of people who smoke marijuana. And maybe you should try chocolate instead of marijuana. You know, chocolate, it gives you a high too, and it's a lot cheaper and a lot more socially acceptable. You're probably not going to be fired from your job from eating chocolate. Oh, anyways, whatever the case is. And then I met this guy who he didn't want to crouch down because he didn't want to get his clothes dirty. And then I looked carefully at what he was wearing, and I realized he dresses better than I do when I go to a funeral. You know, like, why are you dressed like that for a lunar eclipse? You know, because quite frankly, I didn't even know what he was dressed like before he brought it up. You know, he could have came there naked and I wouldn't have noticed. You know, it's a nighttime event, and it's crazy how some people literally want to impress others more than they actually want to live their own lives. You know, another thing that dawned on me yesterday, and this is something I didn't realize I did do all the time, but I have this big fear. I drive a Mitsubishi Lancer, and I have this big fear of getting my car stolen or carjacked. And to the point where if I go to the back seat to grab something and I open the front door and I close the front door, I'll literally lock the doors for the 5 seconds it takes me to walk around the car. Unconsciously, I'm not even thinking about it. And I think this started because I had my car broken into about a year and a half ago. I had gone to meet this girl that I had known online, and we had gone to downtown Seattle, and you know, normally I'm pretty careful about my car, and car got broken into. I used to be a lot more casual about my car. One time I needed to get my car jump started, and then I needed to go to a Goodwill to get some clothes. I had to meet somebody. It was a very important event, and I got to the Goodwill. It was only like quarter of a mile away, and I had to keep the car running. And I literally kept the car running, and I went inside to get the clothes, and I ran out, I used to. That's how careless I used to be with my car. And nowadays, I'm worried about the 3 seconds it takes me to go from one door to another, or getting carjacked. Oh, my big fears. Even when I sleep in the car, I try to make sure nobody can see me sleeping in the car, which could be a little bit of a problem because here in Washington, you're not allowed to tow somebody's car if there's somebody inside. If somebody doesn't see me and they tow my car, that might become my new fear. Oh, it's just crazy, and it makes me wonder why I have other fears in my life. Where are they coming from? Um, I used to have this big fear about. God, I know there was another one that I used to have. When I was working on my PhD, I had a girl who took advantage of me financially, and I got very ill as a result. I was spending all my money on her. I wasn't eating well, and I got very ill. And as a result, I didn't date after that for a year. I didn't have sex again for 6 years. And I just got a bad taste every time there was a potential that some girl was trying to take advantage of me. Oh yeah, there's another thing that gives me big fears all the time. I do a lot of odd jobs on, Craigslist. When I see an ad somewhere, the help wanted ad, I do a lot of these oddball jobs. And one of my big fears is I'll give a quote and it's an instant approval. It's like, I lowballed myself. And to the point where every time I hear yes, I get this twinge almost in my stomach. Just a few weeks ago, I asked this girl out on a date, and she said yes, and I felt this twinge for a couple seconds. I was expecting her to say no and having to bargain with her, and I didn't have to. And I was like, why am I feeling this way? Or when I was, what else did I do where I heard yes and I got this twinge? Oh, just a few months ago when I was traveling to Taiwan, and I was trying to see if I can get a better seat on the flight, and it was instantly, yes, we can give you that seat. I felt this little bit of a pain almost. It took me 2 seconds to realize it's not a bad thing. It's just such a knee-jerk reaction. Anyways, I really discovered myself last night viewing the eclipse. Thanks for watching.